In this video, I share with you 5 ways that you can improve your headers. It's giving you a few processes to understand how to make headers better. What's really cool is the 5th one, where I give you a magic phrase in order to Google and find way more ways to improve your headers. We usually bold them and slap a background color on it. That's going to look like everyone else's pretty shitty sheets. In this video, I'm going to share with you the processes that I go through to make little improvements stack on each other and make your headers better than anyone else's. I hope you enjoy it and learn something from it.
Welcome. So we want to create a better header. We want better header font. In this particular video, we're going to go over it because basically our data looks something like this, right? We start with black and white data where the header row and everything else looks exactly the same. And I bet this is what you do normally, is you probably freeze this row, you probably go over to the header, you might bold it. At minimum, if you do any change whatsoever, you might bold it, and you might add a background color. Probably this yellow. I've seen this yellow countless times, maybe a blue, something like that. So what we're going to do is, in this video, I'll show you a few different ways that we can change this. Not necessarily everything, but I want to give you the tools that allow you to make changes you want, and you'll be able to play around with this and hopefully get at least one key insight from this. I have 5 things we can do to make better headers, and most of it has to do with font, but not all of it. So first thing we can do is absolutely we can change the font. We can say, I have actually a whole nother video about my favorite font, which is Oswald, which we can change it to Oswald here. You got to scroll down to the O's. You might not ever scroll down very far. There's Oswald. I really like Oswald. Change the size a little bit. I love it. I think it's a great header. Why I think it's a great header font is because it smushes up the width a little bit, so sometimes I get a little crazy with the words up in the header, and this sort of fixes that problem. But also, I've been recently very in love with Carla. Carla is pretty awesome, and across the whole board you can do Carla, right? And it always looks nice for now. Consolas, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Consolas, I've used that mainly when there's numbers, but some people might like this look. So you can definitely change the font. You can definitely change also the color. Okay, so I like this 444, right, for text. But if everything is black, then your font color, then your header might be better off something else. Now, if we get some fruity colors, it's very hard to read. We need to change that background. And even if we change the background a lot, which is number 3, it's still pretty hard to read. So we need to definitely figure out our contrast, like green and red, but this always looks Christmassy. But understand also these shades. Changing the font color is not always about just changing the hue, the actual color, green, red, but it could be about changing the shade. So we can do like a dark green, and instead of a white background, which is going to give you the highest contrast, definitely, which is okay, but we can do a little bit better. We can do a light green. Now, why I like this is because in design, it's a little nicer on the eyes. The background isn't such a high contrast. So changing the background to something that is like, let's say, the shade of red, not so good. But this is sort of a counterintuitive. You want to change the background to the same hue, so green, but just the lightest shade. You can also go a little bit closer here too. It gets a little unreadable, right? The closer you get, but we like right in that middle. Let's do the lowest shade of green and the darkest shade of green. See, this looks nice. And then what we can do is change the row and column size. Now, this is probably something that you do very quickly, right? You might increase the size of the header. You might do that and then never touch it again. But what I think is this actually adds a lot of nuance and good design. Give the width a little more space. You can absolutely select all your headers, and you can double click, and it'll go to the smallest size available for each and every row, for each and every column. But once we do this, check this out. Let's do this. Let's move the header to the middle. We're vertically align and center align. And then we give it a little more room. And this looks really nice. Now this really looks like a header. So let's look at this original. Actually, this is still Carla. Everything is to the right. Everything is to the bottom. And here's our original. And then here's our new one. So huge difference, right? We can even now delete this A column, and it still looks really nice, right? Not so plain black and white. We can even change everything over to not Carla, but default. And wow, huge difference so far. One principle that I talk about in another video actually is about making your headers smaller or less intensive. We have a tendency for our headers to be massive, right? We think this is the most important part because it's at the top. But in fact, if we are using Google Sheets every single day, we're using the same table every single day, we don't care about the header because that is the same every single day. We care about the data. So you might want to actually decrease the size of your header even less than your data. So I'm going to move this up to 12. Now, you can still read it. There's no trouble reading this header 1, header 2, header 3 here. But it is less intensive and takes up less room. And with this new coloring, right, it really pops a little bit. We can always actually decrease this even more. We can get a custom green that is way, way, way less, almost nothing but a little tiny bit of color. There we go. Pet peeve of mine is that there's extra columns and extra rows. We can delete those as well. Now this looks nice. Even though the header still pops, we still got this consolus. Let's go back to Oswald. Nice. We can even unbold Oswald. We don't even need Oswald bolded. We can increase the size a little bit if it's a little hard to read with Oswald. But as we look at this first, this was the first one, original, actually with Arial, yeah. And then here with our Oswald. The last thing we're going to talk about is the pairing. And I think this is one of the most important parts because it goes undone. This is something you might not consider, is that the header font, you might just use bold, you might just use Arial, you might use something big like Black Sans or Arial Black. But consider that pairing the correct header and the font of the data does matter a lot. They help each other tell a good story. So what I do is I usually will go onto Google and search for Google font pairs. And this is one of the ways that I actually originally found and figured out that I liked Oswald. It pairs nicely with Montserrat. So here, let's go to our header. We have it as Oswald, and our data is Carla, but we're going to change that to, let's search for JKL Montserrat. Now, the data is thick. We like thick data. And our header is thin. So again, it goes to the principle of, yeah, we might want to pop out that header. Again, we might have something like a blue, and even I can change it to white. Great. That's okay. But now our header looks good. It doesn't pop out too much. It's not intrusive. Our data is bigger than our header in a way in which the font size actually could be the exact same. So we can say 14 here and 14 here. Still, our header, because it's Oswald and it's thin width, and our font is thicker Montserrat, it actually makes our data look easier to see, right? But there are so many different pairings, and I really love seeing these together. I like seeing these designs and then bringing all of the good designs into Google Sheets, because why I specifically look for Google font pairs is because we're in Google Sheets. These are all Google fonts. And let's look at this one. I was looking at this one. I wanted to test this out. LC with Roboto. So we're going to change everything. Let's actually duplicate this. I want to check out LC. So we use Roboto. To find it, OPQRS, Roboto 14. And then we're going to use LC. We don't have it here, right? If we go to E, what we need to do is go to More Fonts, LC. And okay, now we have it. Ooh, this looks cool. I think this is better as all caps. This probably, yes and no. Not necessarily all caps. But it's great to play around with. We might even need a little more contrast. Or not have this background be green, maybe. No, it's great. It's green. Looks the same. Looks good. Give it a little more room. Oh, that's nice. It's a little weird, but isn't weird fun. What I like about this one, Dancing Script with Josephine Sands, is that this Josephine Sands looks weird if you compare it to something like Arial. But compared to Dancing Script, it looks perfectly fine. So let's look at this. Let's see what it looks like. We're going to go dancing. And we're going to use this. Let's see if we have it here. Probably not. We have nothing in the D's. Oof, that looks cool. But even cooler. Sweet. This is sweet. I can even make this bigger. I wonder what this looks like. Oh, this is not good as all caps. But there you go. There's Dancing Script and Josephine. This Josephine would look so weird. Just Josephine Sands would look so weird compared to something like Arial. Right? Almost Josephine Sands looks like the header and Arial as the base. But now we have it flipped. All from this pairing, Dancing Script and Josephine Sands. April Fatface. I've used this before. I just love the name Fatface. I think it's hilarious. I've used that a few times. Corbin. Woof. This looks funky. Like if you really want that old 70s vibe. But yeah, we can play around with this. Again, I would just recommend you search for Google font pairing. There are a ton of these sites, bunch of, Baloo, wow, sweet. And they show you literally right next to each other, and that really makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference on the base script and the top ones. 6 caps. Oh, that was a fun one. This is very similar to Oswald, but like even more extreme because it's all it's uppercase. Very cool. Very sweet if you need something that is very thin in your header. Again, Oswald. This is where I ended up getting Oswald. And I love this. This is Oswald in Quattrocento, but I do love Oswald in Montserrat. Same idea. Oswald is thin, bold, and this Quattrocento is a little wider. But yeah, definitely go check it out. So in this video, we change the font. We can change the color. That means like the actual color of the text. The background, we can change that, and I would recommend something that is similar color as the color, but different shade. We can change the row and the height. We can give it a lot of space. And sometimes we want to give it a lot of space. Sometimes we want to give it a little space. So it depends on your header. Like this one probably needs a little bit more. It's just, this dancing needs some space. There we go. That's nice. And then also, the big key part of this video for you, I hope you take away from this, is a good pairing. Find a good pairing. Find the pairing you want. Find the pairing that fits the style you are looking for. If you're looking for a little fun, if you're looking for something that's a little just slightly different, there are tons of them, right? That you don't have to go too far. You don't have to use Amatic. You don't have to use Comic Sans. Display is great. I love Oswald, as I said before. Lot of options once you start looking at Google font pairing specifically, because Google Sheets has more fonts. You can have a ton of stuff here. Actually, you can even, going through this, I would recommend not necessarily just scrolling through this, because that is the number one thing that we always do, and you've probably done before, is you just scroll through this, pick a font, and be done. But seeing those pairings, we just don't have enough time to scroll through, select two, look at them in different pairings. But somebody has done this and has selected the best pairing. So I love that balloon. That looks fun. So hopefully you gained something from this video. And if you haven't yet, I do have another video about my best fonts, my favorite fonts, which includes Oswald. And for members, there are tons of more videos about headers and doing better headers, different styles of headers, not just the text, but we put the headers as frozen. Sometimes we put it underneath. We do big headers, small headers, lots of cool videos about headers. Check it out. Don't make any sheets, make better sheets.